So we are ready to go ahead and stitch the very center of our nesting basket. And they're going to be files A2, A3, B2 left, B2 right, B3 left, B3 right, C2 and C3, and they're going to go together like this. So in my hoop, I have a lightweight tearaway ready to go. I've got my little fabrics, and I actually labeled them. Probably hard to see, but this is A2, A3, B2 left, B2 right, B3 left, and so on. So I have them all ready to go. And then I've got my little pieces of hoop shape that I need for all of this. I will need water-soluble thread, and I will also need my quilting thread. In the bobbin, we're going to use the standard embroidery bobbin thread. So we'll start out with the wash away thread for step one. I'm going to put all of these little blocks in this one hoop. So it's going to stitch the placement stitch for each one of them. And then I'll come back and put the hoop shape inside the placement stitch. So I have all of my block placement stitches done. I did it in a darker thread so it would show up on camera. You really should do it in the water-soluble thread. So I've also marked what my block is because it's important that the quilting line up when we're done, so I don't want to get them mixed up. So now it's time to put our hoop shape on, and as you can see on each of the blocks, there is a side, two sides that will have sort of like a little double stitch line here, and they're in different places. This one's here, this one is here. So what you need to do is take your hoop shape, which by the way I also marked for the block. So we will place our hoop shape inside that stitching area. So we'll have that little bit of extra without hoop shape in it. That way when our box is together, this is where it's going to bend, and it'll just bend a whole lot easier. So I'll just put a dab of glue stick in each corner and center in my hoop shape with my correct block markings on it. So I'll go ahead and get all of these placed in my hoop. I'll change to my water-soluble thread, or leave the water-soluble thread because hopefully you've already got it in your machine. And the machine is going to tack down all of the hoop shape. So our hoop shape is completely stitched down now. I just wanted to point out there was one block, maybe two, where the stitching missed right here to tack the hoop shape down. If that happens to you, don't worry about it. Keep on going because we're going to put fabric over this. It's going to stitch the fabric down. It's going to quilt on top of it. And that little tiny bit of missing hoop shape is not going to matter at all. So just don't stress out over that. So now I do have my fabric right side up. I did label my blocks again, just so that when I put the fabric on the hoop shape, I now know what block that is. I'm going to center all of these over the hoop shape. Get them all centered. Just kind of check them. You can kind of feel too. You can kind of feel that it's in the right place. I'm going to keep the water-soluble thread on the machine. I'll get all of the fabrics placed on all 8 of my little blocks, and then the machine is going to tack down each of the blocks with the water-soluble thread. So all of my fabric is tacked down in the hoop. ready to do the quilting. So now I'll put my quilting thread in the needle and go ahead and stitch the quilting step on all of these blocks. So all 8 of my blocks are done, and I've taken the stabilizer out of the hoop, and I will just cut it apart. I need to remove the stabilizer from the back of all the blocks. And then I need to trim, leaving a 1/4 inch around the outside edge. On this particular block with this color fabric, it's easier for me to see that on the back side. So I'm going to use the ruler side of my trimmer by George and put the 1/4 inch line of the ruler on the basting stitch line, or the outside edge of my block, and go ahead and trim all 4 sides of each of my 8 blocks. So this is what it will look like when it's finished. If I have accidentally removed my block name up here, this is a B2R, I'll just make sure I put it back, which will help me later when I put it together. So there's my B2R. So I will go ahead and do that to all 8 of my blocks. So here are all of my blocks completely finished and trimmed. This is block A2. All the seam allowances have been trimmed. So the way it goes is A2, A3, because this is column A. So they're 2 and 3. This is B2 left, B3 left. This is B2 right, B3 right, and this is C2 and C3. So this is how they will be stitched together.